Hello everyone. I've been having a lot of fun with magnets and the Ultraskiff 360 lately. I'm going to show you a few ways that you can utilize them to make the skiff even more convenient. First, we're going to talk about mounting a magnet on the top end of the deck. And then we'll talk about putting a magnet underneath on the bottom of the hull. A lot of different things you can do with them, and we're going to start here really quick. The quickest thing obviously is putting one on the top of the deck, and we do that by putting one right through the bolt on one of our cleats. All we do is we use the bolt that's already in the skiff, we take it out, then we take one of these magnets. This is called a circle magnet here. Let's just put this magnet on. I'm just going to take the bolt, I'm going to put it through, and I'm going to put it right back where it came from, and there we go. Now we have this flashy, awesome magnet, and I saved the use of the cleat, where I used to take the cleat off and mount my depth finder there on the threads. But now, there's a different way. Now I can put my depth finder right onto there. And I've saved the cleat, so I can still use that cleat to anchor or tie the boat off if I want to. And I could take my depth finder screen on and off. How did I put the depth finder on? Easy. I just took, this is a galvanized steel bracket. They're called Simpson Strong Ties. They sell them, they're like $1 a piece at hardware stores, and we'll get into them in a second. But just really quick, it's a really cool way to mount your screen, and there's other uses. I've been keeping my pliers on them. I really like doing that. And I've also been putting lures on the magnets as well, whenever I need to swap out lures and stuff like that. Super cool, handy little gadget. Now let's talk about putting a magnet on the bottom of the skiff. The skiff has these 4 recessed disc-like looking shapes sunken into the bottom, and in the middle of them there is a thread. It's a 1/4 inch thread, and there is a machine screw in them. To remove it, simply unscrew it. It's a very small bolt. You don't want to lose these bolts because you want to keep the threads covered if you ever don't have anything attached there. We usually have a little silicone on there. Not to worry about that. Just hold on to the bolt. Now for mounting the assembly to the bottom of the boat, we're going to talk about many options. First and foremost being putting the magnet into the utility insert. It fits very nice. I'll show you here really quick. We need a spacer to do this, and for a spacer we're using this galvanized steel cut washer. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick, which is about what you want. Go a tiny bit less or a tiny bit more, that's fine. But you want something that's about 1 3/4 inch diameter, which is what this is. Okay, putting that underneath the magnet. For my bolt, as long as I have a spacer that's around 1/8 of an inch, I can use a 3/4 inch machine screw. 3/4 inch, it's 1/4 inch thick, and the head on it, important that it is flat on the bottom. So you want a round head or a truss head to work fine in this situation. And I'm going to slip that into the magnet. And I'm going to screw that right into our utility insert. And it sinks down in there. Enough so it holds very nicely, and you can see it's very level, but what we really want is this clearance here around the magnet. You can't have the magnet sit flush, because whatever you're going to use with a bracket is most likely going to have a bolt head on it. So you'll see here as I put this transducer, I have this bolt head sticking out on this bracket. See that the bolt head is not touching the bottom of the boat. There's enough space there. You want that space so that no part of the plate is going to come in contact with the bottom of the boat, and that could cause a loss of strength and could cause the transducer to pop off the magnet. So now, if you don't want the magnet like this, you can put the plate onto the bottom of the boat instead of the magnet, and then put the magnet onto your transducer like we have here. Okay, this is the same magnet. I just painted it, but I used my 1/4 inch drill bit and I drilled out a hole right there. So taking a 3/4 inch machine screw right here, and I am putting that into the utility insert, and there we go. Adequate hold right there for fishing. And you can always beef up the strength of your magnet or beef up the strength of your plate. So here's something a little bit thicker. This is just galvanized sheet metal. Putting my 3/4 inch machine screw in there and throwing that on. So now I have a stronger hold now. But I did not increase the strength of the magnet. I just increased the thickness of the plate. As you can see here on this, it's not the same size. You can find them in various sizes, but if you need to cut them, all I did was I used a pair of these clippers here. Slice right through it if you don't have a saw. So what about something where the bolt would sit flush? Well, there are things that exist at your local hardware store, such as a hole filler plate. This is a entry hole filler plate. These are for missing doorknobs, and it's a metallic substance. It's not, you know, the best quality of metal, grade of metal, of course, but it is painted, and the paint is rust resistant until you start scratching it up and you start chipping that paint away. Then they do begin to rust. But they do serve a pretty cool function. To mount one of these, I need a 3/4 inch flathead machine screw right here. So I'm taking that 3/4 inch flathead machine screw, I'm putting it through the filler plate, and I'm screwing that into our utility insert on the bottom of the boat. Go. All right, and there we go. As you can see, it's nice and clean and flush, and it's gray. It matches the boat. It's pretty sharp looking, and now I can put my transducer on that. But because it's painted, it lost some strength. Okay, this still works on a day on the water, but you know, it's just not as strong as it would be if it didn't have the paint on it. One thing you can do is beef it up to one of these 65-pound magnets. It's very strong on the 65-pound magnet, and there you really have nothing to worry about. Okay, now let's talk about the magnets themselves, what they're made of, their capabilities, and let's also talk about the galvanized steel brackets in the same fashion. Let's start with the magnets. The magnets are ceramic, so they are very rust resistant. Of course, after like weeks in the water, they will begin to rust. They can become brittle and chip away over time, but they are very, very inexpensive and commonly found. So the casing is really what you have to worry about. The casing is steel and it has a chrome plating. The chrome plating does help a lot with rust. And I did a little experiment here. Here I have 2 cups. This is seawater that I got from the Gulf of Mexico, and this is just water from the sink. It's almost been a couple days. And this is the one that was in salt water, and we can take a look at it here. We can see a little bit of rust. I noticed that the first place that they do rust is right there on the center hole. You can see there's just a little bit of oxidation there. If you're just using the magnets, you know, putting it in the water for the day and taking it out, then you don't really have too much to worry about. Rust capabilities of these galvanized steel brackets and plates, pretty good. Tested them out, left them in salt water for multiple days. We actually do have these magnets in stock here at Ultraskiff, and if we provide them with the boat, then we do drill out the center hole. On the 65-pound magnet, the hole's big enough for a 1/4 inch screw, but on these 25 and 35-pound magnets, they do need a tiny bit of widening. So same thing as we did when we put our hole in the bracket. We just grab a 1/4 inch drill bit. I'm putting it to the hole that's already there, and I'm just widening it. It only takes a quick second. Now that hole's big enough for my 1/4 inch screw. We're here today. We're going to test out our magnets with a transducer and a depth finder. So let's get this set up real quick. Take my pliers off of here and put this on. Now we're going to put the transducer on the magnet on the bottom of the boat. Okay, we got it on there straight. Just tying it around this cleat. Okay, we got the screen fired up, we got the transducer on, we're moving. This is a good day to test it out. Having it on that magnet is a really good thing, because if the boat ever hits something solid or you run aground, the transducer is just going to slide right off and dangle freely. So it's not going to get damaged, the boat's not going to get damaged. It's a pretty nice setup. Doing a little 360 test here for the tranny. Solid. So we did a lot of 360s, a lot of donuts out there. We just got done a huge rainstorm, so going through that channel, the current was pretty swift, and held up to it just fine. A good day, a great test, and definitely a great feature for the Ultraskiff 360. Till next time, everyone, tight lines.